Hey everyone, and welcome to this episode of the Mic'd Podcast. I'm Mike, a hairdresser of over 20 years. One of the best parts of my job is the conversations that I get to have with all of my clients. We talk about anything and everything and invite you to listen in as we get mic'd up for today's conversation. Today in the chair we have Marin. Marin talks to us about the crazy life of being a sports mom, and we dive into conspiracy theories we believe or don't believe. Enjoy. Well, welcome. Let's get down to business, shall we?
Let's do it.
Oh, man. Well, no, it was fun just talking about, before we started filming, talking about the kids and stuff, because kids are always a rough one. But you've got five.
Five. And two of them are adults, so I've got 21, 19, 17, 13, and 11.
Well, and your kids are, like, your oldest ones, like, I've seen pictures of them they're massive. Like, they're big kids.
So my husband is Samoan, so they're like, they're both about 6'4". And
Does it ever scare you seeing your kids be this big, like, tower over you?
No, they're afraid of me still. Like, if I walk toward them and they know they did something, they back off.
I find that honestly, like, most moms can, like, they can scare the bejeebers out of their kids. It doesn't matter how big the kid is. A mom can threaten, and the kid is, like, shaking in their boots.
Yeah, they're afraid of me. They're not afraid of their big Samoan dad. They're afraid of me.
So what's the secret? How do you get your kids to be afraid of you? I mean, I don't want my kid to be, like, afraid, like, fearful, but I want them to be like, when I say something.
I mean, it's not like they're always obedient, but, you know, I was always the mean one, the disciplinarian. My husband's just like a big teddy bear, so.
Yeah. Did you grow up in a family that was, like, your parents were, when this is said, you do, kind of a thing?
My parents were pretty chill, pretty relaxed. My mom was a little more uptight, a little more stressed out. My dad is very passive and just has a lot of faith in people and would give lots of chances to people. Still does.
Yeah, it's a good thing, good quality though.
It is.
I mean, just don't want to be walked all over.
Well, and that happens with him, actually. He's just such a good man, but just cannot say no. Like, he's pushing 80, he has Parkinson's, and he still goes and, like, helps the people in the neighborhood cut down their trees and paint their houses. And
at 80 years old?
He just feels like if he can help, if he has the ability, then he will.
I mean, I've heard that's when you do get older, you don't want to just sit around and be stagnant.
Right.
Get out and do something. I mean, I'm almost there.
You're pushing 80 too?
I feel like it. I feel like age-wise, I'm in my 40s, but mentally.
Some days, I know.
Well, I don't know. Maybe
more days than.
Maybe mentally I'm younger than I think I am.
I don't know. I was telling you, like, I get along really great with my teenage boys. So if that tells you my mental age.
Yeah, but teenagers are solving the world's problems.
I guess so.
It's like, it's just do what I want, and the world will be great. At least
they have it all figured out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, but like, what do you really is there a secret that you have to keep a good relationship with your kids? Like, to where you want to hang out with them and they obviously are hanging out with you. How do you get
I'm
that?
just super cool, I guess.
so how do we become super cool? What do I need to do to be cool? I swear, my kids, I'll say something to my daughter, they'll just shake their head
Oh, well, they do that too. But I'm really open with them. I've always been really open. we just talk about everything. I mean, like when we had talked about sex, we talked about periods and tampons and all the things. And like they,
Even with your boys?
oh yeah, I'm the one that talked to him. Well, like it just happens to always be me that's home, I swear, like when all the difficult questions come about. But also I'm the first one to admit when I do something wrong, and I try to like really own up to things and apologize. I'm not perfect at it, of course, but you know, I try to remedy situations as much as I can, and my kids call me out on it, especially my 17-year-old. He's like not afraid to just tell me, you don't need to yell about that, or like you don't need to freak out about that, Mom. And he's right. I mean, sometimes he's wrong, but
Hey, as long as you can come back and say like, yeah, I apologize. I was wrong. You were right for once. 17-year-old.
yeah. No, I don't know. I think that helps. Also, I'm super immature, and I don't know.
You can throw down a fart joke or something to the kid. I feel like
Well, with all these
teenagers
boys,
always
it's
respond
always
well to
like
that stuff.
balls and nuts, and you know.
I mean, that's pretty much what we talk about. So no,
And
that's
I don't know. We send reels to each other. I sent the most, but you know, I'm not a prude. I get it, and I probably laugh at things I shouldn't laugh at in front of my children. But
I don't necessarily think it's like things that you shouldn't laugh at. It's just letting your kid, like you got to let your kids know, like it's okay to laugh at things that are, maybe, I don't want to say inappropriate or like, for a teenager, but teach them about it too. Like that.
right. Well, things are funny. Farts are funny. I don't know. Balls are funny. I just
What was the? I was like, what's the Seinfeld episode where Elaine is like, I don't know how you guys walk around with those things or whatever. It's just what we do.
Oh, it's just, yeah. It's not like you know any different. So,
is it weird, like having, because you've got the 4 boys first and then the girl last. Mm-hmm. Is there a clear, significant difference between the boys bringing them out versus the girl? Or is it she's just joining
funny.
the group?
She's so private. And like, okay, so she's 11. And for a few years now, like she'll go in her room and lock her door if she's changing. And like, just, if I talk about like periods or puberty or anything, she's always like, Mom. She just does not want to hear any of it. And so she's just very private. I don't know. It's a little weird for me. I've had to kind of like lay off a little bit and not be like around the boys.
Say, you better talk to me about this or we're going to be throwing you a period party. And we're going to really embarrass no, not that that's good. I don't want to embarrass my kids either, but.
So she's good for me, and she kind of helps balance me out. We have a boy dog, and it was over Christmas break. My 19-year-old is sitting at the table, and she's over in the family room with her friends. And she's like, Mom, why is his wiener like all red? And I'm like, well, he'd just gotten a haircut, so I'm thinking like maybe like it just kind of looks red 'cause like she cut the fur all off. Maybe it looks a little irritated or something. She's like, no, Mom, it's like really red and it's like sticking out. So I like turn the light on and I look over and I'm just like cracking up because he's like a little he's not so much a puppy anymore. You
Red
know?
Rocket.
Right. So I look at my 19-year-old and we are just like in tears laughing. And her little friend's there. And I don't know how much her friend knows about these things. Like our house, we know about the things. So, and so I'm like, you know what? Just don't worry about it. Like we'll talk about it later. It's like her little friend's there. And so then we're just giggling. Sione and I are just giggling. And then she's like, Mom, what's a red rocket? So she had gotten on her phone and Googled.
Oh, no.
Because I wouldn't tell her right then in that moment. And I'm like, oh, boy, we'll just have a conversation later.
So did you revisit that later to tell him?
Well, like later that night, she's like, Mom, it happened again. And I'm like, all right, do you really want to know? Because I know how like private she is here. She doesn't want to talk about, you know, like puberty or like anything like this. And so I'm like, well, okay, I'll tell you. And you just tell me like when you're done talking, we'll just, you know, be done. So she's like, all right. So I'm like, well, it's called an erection. And she's like, Mom, that's...
There's certain words that are just like, yep, I'm done. Let's not talk about that anymore.
That's it. She hasn't asked me about it since. So, yeah.
Oh, man. See, luckily, like I have the 3 girls. And so like when we do have to have those talks with our kids, luckily Allie takes the lead, but I always try to be there to make sure, like, because I think, you do want to tell your kids about both sides. They need to know, like, this is part of what happens. It's like I think even with your boys, talking to them about periods and stuff, like, I think that's a good thing for young teenage boys so that they don't make fun of someone when they have that experience. But my wife had told me about somebody that I guess their daughter started her period at school and nobody had told her except there was a teenage boy that saw that she had some red on her pants. And so he went over and gave her his sweatshirt and said, wrap this around and then when you can.
That's so sweet.
And the mother of the son, or the mother of the daughter, wrote a letter to the mom of the son and said, thank you so much for teaching your boy about what this is, and thank you for giving him that kind of respect towards women. Because I remember hearing things in school when I was a kid, like people would just make fun of it if that ever happened.
Right.
And they would have to go, it's not a laughing matter. We don't joke about that. But nobody, like I never got talked about periods with my family or like. Well,
it was like hush hush.
It was, we don't talk about that. So I think educating them, like, it's not a bad thing. It's just something that happens.
Yeah. Well, I'm like, I want them to not freak out or not. And kids in junior high especially are just dumb. And, you know, they don't want to be vulnerable. They don't want to look different and it's just like the default to just make fun of people.
Yeah.
And
Well, but especially now, like, are your kids on social media and stuff too?
Yeah.
Like, because that's the part too. Like, it's so easy to make fun of somebody when you don't have them in the same room.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of kids get used to being on social media and being able to say whatever they want without the consequence of seeing somebody's reaction or.
Right.
So they're very susceptible to bullying or, back in my day, if I wanted to say something to somebody, I had to choose very wisely. The person's a little bigger than I am. I don't know. Could I take him? No. I mean, I was tiny, so I never said anything. I always kept my mouth shut because I didn't want to get beat up. But man, kids now, it's like they can get cruel.
Yeah.
And have no consequence at all.
Yeah.
Because it's all done from a screen. It's crazy.
a weird place to be in these days.
Have you ever had to deal with any of your kids being bullied? I mean, obviously they're big, but even big kids
Right.
have feelings and have hearts. And
Right. When my oldest was in elementary school, he was probably in 4th grade, and he took his football gloves to school, and a 6th grader just came and took them from him. And he was a big kid, but he's just kind and pretty gentle, just gentle, and he just gave him his gloves because the kid just told him to give them to him. And I think that was probably maybe the only time we had to go deal with that. But I don't think so. I don't think.
So I think that's one of my biggest fears with my kids. Not that I fear that they're going to get bullied, but I think everybody has to go through a point where they get made fun of and they have to learn, have a thick skin.
Yeah.
It's just words. It doesn't define you, whatever.
Yeah.
The part that I think I'm most terrified of is that my kids are the bully.
Right.
Because if I ever find out that my kids are the bully, they're the mean kid, they're the ones that are causing somebody to go home and feel bad about themselves or whatever, I will lose it.
Right.
Because I don't teach my kids to be mean.
Yeah.
Teach them to play jokes on people,
Right.
but kind
I
jokes.
mean, if everybody's laughing and, but yeah, I try to teach them to read the room a little bit if it feels like maybe the joke didn't land right or whatever, back off and, just try to read people and pay attention. But my kids have honestly, they're good kids. I've had teachers tell me how grateful they are for my kids. They're good leaders. And I think a little bit just because they're these big Polynesian kids. They stand out. They all play sports. They've had a little bit of extra pressure too to kind of be leaders. I know my oldest, when he was in junior high, he had the principal and the teachers kind of put this extra pressure on him, oh, well, you were standing there when this happened. How come you didn't stop it? And that was hard for him because he's just because people look up to him or whatever doesn't mean he wants to be in that leadership role, I guess, a little bit. But they've been pretty good. I'm sure they've been punks, but I've never had an issue.
You've never been called out
I've
to
never
be
been called to the principal's office and, so knock on wood, hopefully we stay on that path. But they're good. They're kind kids. They don't, my daughter doesn't like drama. She has some friends, she'll come home and be like, oh, these girls are doing this, and she just doesn't want any part of it, so hopefully that continues.
Well, and as long as they've got their mom's back, or you have their back,
Yeah.
they're gonna be fine.
Oh, and I have no problem talking to people.
Being Mama Bear and
Nope. And people know that too. So,
they're like, Marin is someone not to mess with.
yeah, I've definitely gotten into it with coaches and teachers, and I don't regret any of it.
But what, getting into it, because they're treating the kids unfair, because they are accusing kids of something, because what is it that would make you have to go Mama Bear mode and be like?
So my 19-year-old, when he was in youth football, he had a coach that he was in 4th grade, and he had a coach that he loved football, and he's super athletic. He was good at it, and he wanted to quit football by the end of the season, and Well, and he asked for, us to respect his time and get our kids there on time. But he ran practices like 45 minutes long every day. So I called him out on it, and I'm like, these kids are like 10 years old and they hate football. Like, that's not okay with me. They are supposed to be learning fundamentals and having fun, and they're not supposed to hate it yet and want to quit. So we just ended up moving him to another team. And I had an issue with my 13-year-old's football coach this last fall too, and he just...
Do you feel that, like, with kids in sports nowadays, though, it's not about enjoying the sport, it's about winning and being the best? Like,
Yeah.
I feel like kids don't get a chance to just play the game because they love it. Like, I would love to see schools that are just like, if you want to play, you're on the team. Like, this
Yeah.
tryout of, like, I don't know. I mean, I guess maybe, like, it's weird though, but I feel like kids are just being conditioned to be the best at a young age so that you can go to this step. I truly feel like Tiger Woods' dad ruined sports for all kids, because he was like, all right, Tiger's big enough to hold a club.
Yeah.
We're never going to let it go. And that's what we're going to do every day from here on out.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, I'm not super competitive. Like, it's fun to win, and it's hard to see your kids lose, like, be on a losing team. And my kids have been on pretty good teams. My high school boys have won state championships. This last year, we lost in the state championship game. Like, we made it all the way to the end. And I don't mind. And that actually was the biggest problem with Sione's youth coach, is he was so focused on winning. And I think it's good to teach to win and to be your best, but I think especially when they're younger like that, when they're in 4th grade, like, and it's their first year or two of learning this sport, like, we're just learning the fundamentals here. We're learning what our job is.
yeah.
But I kind of don't mind. We had a couple problems lately with my 13-year-old where they had tryouts for basketball and football. And instead of picking like an A team and a B team, they just split everybody up evenly, kind of so that nobody's feelings got hurt. And I do have a problem with that. Like, if you're better, then you're on this team, and
they do A-B team, but just based on, like, we have this many people that want to play, and so we're dividing it up equally?
No.
Or it's
like A is the better kids, and B is...
Okay, so
It's supposed to be that way in these leagues anyway. And that actually has not worked out well. With our 7-on-7 team, we ended up getting the coach to fix it to where it was the A team players were on the A team and the B team players were on the B team. And I just think that's just how it is. If you're a little bit better, you're on the A team. And if you're not, then you're just on the B team.
But they want everybody to feel included, so they just mix them up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which just...
But I think as a kid, like, that's part of the, like, you have to... I get picking sides and having a team, but, like, you have to let kids fail and not be picked sometimes so that they'll push themselves or want to better themselves.
Yeah. Like with our 7-on-7 team, there's kids that have played together for like 4 years. They know each other. They know where their place is. They know how the team works together, and they should just stay together.
Yeah.
And when you've got new kids that come on the team that this is their first year or whatever, they just need a couple of years, they need to kind of.
But see, that's where I think they need to just have sports be at a certain point, yes, teach the fundamentals and just have fun with it. And if you enjoy it, then go to the next level. And again, if you're going to go to the next level, yeah, you might make the A team, you might make the B team, but at this point you can choose. But it's getting to the point that literally, like, kids are 4 years old and they're like, all right, we got to get you in this camp. We got to put you into this league. We got to pay all this money for you to go do all these special things so that you can have a chance to make your first grade team.
Right.
It's like, first grade?
Yeah, it's out of control. There's definitely some intense parents out there.
First grade, we got to get you ready for the NBA,
right?
The NFL. Like, what? No. Let the kids just have fun.
Yeah.
Let them mess up. Let them have
Yeah.
Let the kids go out and play a game against a team that's way better than them and lose by like 100 points.
Right?
It's okay. I remember in baseball, I used to play baseball when I was a kid. We played against this it was a rough game. I think at the end it was like 50-0.
In baseball?
In baseball. It was awful. Like, there was nothing that we could have done. And I think, if I remember correct, because now they just end the game if you get too far ahead.
Yeah.
Back then, no, they were like, keep going. It was rough. I still remember that game and thinking, I really suck at this game. And I was a pitcher, so it was not good.
Yeah.
But guess what? After that game, I went and practiced a whole lot more. And I took practice a whole lot more serious too. Hey everyone, Mike here. I just wanted to interrupt this episode and say thank you for listening. And please remember to subscribe to our channel and follow us on social media. We need your support to keep these episodes coming. So spread the word, and now back to the conversation.
Well, I think there's a balance. Like, you don't want the kids to feel like shit all the time and just like get killed in every game. And my kids make fun of me so our high school team is just really good. And like I told you, like, we won state 2 years ago, and it's hard for me when we play teams that don't even score. Like, I cheer for the other team if they score, because
you want the other kids.
It just kind of sucks. Like, let them have one. Okay, well, let them get a field goal at least, get a couple points on the scoreboard. But
see, and I feel bad for them, but I'm also like, you know what? That's okay. Like,
right.
let them lose miserably. It's fine. They'll feel bad for a minute. Go get them some ice cream, and then they'll play another day. But it's this weird dynamic of like, you've got to be the best. And you've got to be the best before you even get there. It's like,
Yeah, like I said, I'm not super competitive. I like winning. I like that my kids are on good teams that win a lot.
I'm glad my kids aren't losers.
And it would probably be hard if they were losing all the time. And so I don't know, maybe I am more competitive than I think I am. It's just been easy because we have won a lot of games, but they have good coaches and good support, good parents, and that's important too.
See, my kids haven't gotten into team sports. Like, my oldest one likes tennis, so it's individual unless they play doubles. But even that, it's like, I haven't had the opportunity yet to deal with the parents that are very hardcore into it, to where they're the ones jumping over the fence to yell at somebody. I'm anxiously waiting for that day. but it's not there yet. I feel like team sports, there's just more players, so they get more people involved.
Yeah, and it gets hard, and you get officials that call terrible games, and
See,
I've yelled at officials.
That's where you sign up secretly to be an official during the games that your kids are playing.
I don't know about that, Mike.
It's all good. You could just like mess with it. No, I'm just kidding. That would be dishonest. I'm not going to condone that. Officials are people too.
Right.
Even though sometimes they make bad calls.
Right.
So who are you cheering for the Super Bowl? Is it going to be the 49ers or Taylor Swift?
Oh, boy.
What's your thought on that, being a football family?
Right. I really don't care for the NFL. I don't care about the NFL so much. I like watching my kids play. I think that whole thing is like just publicity. I don't think they're really in a relationship. I think it's all publicity. So
Really?
yeah.
So I don't like why, because why do people like, where did that theory come from? Like, it's just, it's a political thing? Is that what people are saying? It's like,
Boy, I don't know how much to say here, Mike.
well, I mean, you don't have to give
I think so much is scripted. I think the NFL is scripted, at least to a point.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I mean, I definitely think there's a lot of things happening behind the scenes in a lot of political arenas. But you think like it would go down into they would control that? I mean, I guess they did try to take over.
It's a whole new demographic. How many people are just like obsessed and listen to every word that Taylor Swift tells them to do? People will just worship her. They do, and I had a whole other episode where a girl like she really did like educate me on here's what Taylor Swift has done or whatever. But I find it's so hard. Sometimes here's the thing: conspiracy theories. There's got to be some of them that are true. There was a comedian at one point that just how did the thing go? It was something along the lines of like, look, I'm a parent, and he's like, I was put in charge of one child. He's like, the government was put in charge of all of the children. He's like, I lie to my kid all the time. So you can't say that the government's not lying to the people at least some of the time. Oh, yeah.
So I think that there is some conspiracy, but there's some of them that are so, the Taylor Swift thing, like how do you orchestrate or organize? Like that's the part. Like there's some that I'm like, I could see this organization of like, we're going to do this, 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 and this. The Taylor Swift one, I'm like, I don't quite understand how, okay, we're going to get this girl to date this guy. He's going to be a Pfizer rep and get paid all kinds of millions of dollars to
both
push
Pfizer whores.
Yeah.
So.
Is she too? Is she?
Oh yeah.
Has she done
Yeah.
ads for Pfizer?
Mm-hmm.
I don't follow her very much, so.
I don't know. But it happens all the time. And I've seen a couple, I just watched a little bit of a podcast the other day, and they get set up all the time. Like, hey, we need this thing to happen. We need to coordinate this relationship. It's an election year. The last election year, it was the same people in the Super Bowl.
That is true. I didn't. Oh, I see it coming, the Illuminati.
Look, I don't believe all the things, but you start putting pieces together, and it's like, oh.
It gets.
But I don't even like Taylor Swift. It's scary to me what a cult following she has. Yeah. She is a self-proclaimed witch. We're getting into it here, Mike.
Oh man. Is she a self? I don't know.
Yeah,
There's so many weird things.
Says that she is. I don't know, and I'm.
Like, how do you become I want to be a self-proclaimed witch.
She does like rituals on her stage. So,
Really?
yeah.
I haven't been to her concert, so.
Well, I haven't either, but I've seen things.
So,
I just try to stay away from that stuff a little bit.
So here, I've got a good question for you then. Because like, again, going into like the conspiracy, like obviously there's a conspiracy theory about like Taylor Swift and that. If you had somebody here today that was like, look, I know the secrets of everything. I know all. Is there a conspiracy theory you would want to know the actual truth to? Like, what would be your one conspiracy theory that you would be like, I want to know, is this true or is it not? And they would have to tell you without, like, they just knew. They were like, yep, here it is. Like, is it the Kennedy assassination?
That's
is
one
it
that I
Is it
do
the
love
landing on
to-
the moon?
Oh,
Is
the
it
landing on the moon is totally fake.
Is it the Taylor Swift? Like,
That's total bullshit.
like
So,
what is the one conspiracy theory that you would be like, I want to know this? Is Tupac dead? Like, did Elvis die? Like,
probably JFK. I really am fascinated by JFK. Like, is he really dead?
the magic
Did
bullet.
he really die? Like, I have books, I've watched videos. That is one that I am super interested in.
The magic bullet has always been a thing that's very fascinating to me. I think Seinfeld, again, did a really good bit on the magic loogie to really, like, bring it home. It was just like, yeah, how does that happen? How?
Yeah, there's so many theories there, and
That 9/11.
100%.
9/11 would be a
100%.
good one. Coronavirus, like what? Like there's so many conspiracy theories, but what would be your one?
Yeah,
You get the answer
probably
to
JFK. I already there is 9/11 would be interesting too. Like, I'm pretty sure on, maybe not sure. I'm sure the things we've been told are lies for a lot of that stuff.
Well, again, we lie to our kids sometimes.
Right.
The government's definitely lying to us.
I mean, you got President Bush that's sitting there reading to kids in a classroom after he's told that a plane hit one of the towers. He sat there for 20 more minutes and read to the children. What is that?
See, I think the one unsolved or like thing that I would love to uncover more than anything, JFK would be a really close second, but Epstein's list. That would be the one. I'm baffled as to why we're not pursuing that more.
And there's people that say that that's just a distraction as well. But I believe those things happen. So, I don't know. So many good ones.
Aliens? Are aliens real? Like, that's... Did you see that last thing when they found the alien body in Peru or something? And they were posting it on, it was like, it literally looked like a little paper doll. And they're like, this is an alien. I'm like, who believes this? Like, it was all over the news. And it was just like, wait, no, that is not an alien. It's a mummified alien. They have like scientists like out bringing this thing.
I mean, people believe some silly things, Mike.
Oh, man. If you could create a conspiracy theory,
Oh.
what would you create? Like, what would be your diverted, like, I'm gonna tell this so that this can really,
Like, blow up?
yeah. Like being an election year, would it be something like something political?
I don't know, maybe. I, yeah, I don't know, Mike. That's one I'd have to.
I mean, these
People-
are things people need to think about.
Right? I should think about that. I'm gonna have to go home and like make a list. And people are so gullible. It's amazing. You put it on CNN and they believe it. So
It is crazy though, like how, and I guess it was just because we were raised that way. Like our parents grew up in a time when the news was like actually a trusted thing.
yeah,
Like, it's for the most part, the news reported on the news. I feel like now the news doesn't even do the news anymore. It's all opinion.
right.
And they don't care that their opinion goes against what the facts might be.
Right.
They just want to share their opinion. I'm like, I truly wish that the media, the news would get back to, look, we're going to just tell you the facts of the case. We're not going to sway it one way or another. Here's just what happens. Like, I hate that you have to watch 5 different channels to get an eighth of the story.
Right. It's all just propaganda at this point.
Yeah.
Actually, my dad was the one he's always been like questioned things and looked into things more. And I always used to tell him, like, I don't want to know. Like, I'm trying to raise my kids. I don't want to know all the bad things in the world. But then the last several years, I'm like, oh, he was right about those things.
But that's the crazy, like nowadays, like, I mean, they've shown, like the media, all of them, CNN, Fox, MSNBC, all of these things, their viewership has dropped drastically. So now it's like, where are people getting all of their information? They're going to social media. And it's just, here's the wild thing for me. We used to, as kids, and you'd learn, like you'd go through the history books and, they'd tell you, here's what history was and here's how it was. Now that we have social media and it really starts putting this perspective on, okay, in 30 years from now, people will go back and you'll have hundreds of millions of people's view on this one thing.
Yeah.
Our history books were 3 people.
Right.
And now you're sitting here going, well, wait a minute. Those 3 people, there were probably thousands there. Is that really what happened, or is that really just what they wanted us to know?
Right.
So you really start questioning all this stuff. And it's a mind,
Yeah.
It
Well, and
sucks.
even I go to social media for a lot of things, but you have to like sort through so much stuff. Like, it's like, well, maybe that could be true, but I don't know.
Well, but then you get into this whole, get into AI. And
Yeah.
now you have people, I mean, geez, like today, like I took AI to use, like we have a wall in the salon that like I have, all of our stylists' photos on, but I used AI to change all of their looks to look like they're back from the 70s and it looks like that was an actual photo.
That's real, yeah.
But now you're getting to the point where you can do video and voices and change everything about someone, and you can get somebody like on a video. So even that, you go to social media and you're like, oh, I saw this video. Well, was that video real?
Right.
How do you find out if it's fake? How do you find out if it's real?
It's a lot of discernment, and then you still don't know.
I'm just going to pray about it.
I literally just have to say, like, okay, maybe it's possible. Like, I can't say, I don't know, the craziest things. And I'm like, well, I don't really want to say that would never happen because maybe it would. I just, who's to say?
I don't know. The world is a wild place right now.
That's for sure.
I just hope I can, honestly, I hope I can bring my kids up to be, at least honest.
Yeah.
If nothing else, don't start conspiracy theories, as fun as they might be.
Well, and that's because my kids are on social media. I mean, I have 2 adult sons and a 17-year-old, and they'll ask me sometimes, like, Mom, I saw this video on this, and like, is that true? And I'm like, I don't know. You just seriously have to just like go to a couple different, if it's something you really want to like find out about, go to a couple different sources. Don't just watch one video on TikTok and
and that's it.
That's it.
Don't be the headline. Just don't read the headlines.
Right.
So many people read the headline and that's their opinion now.
Yeah. But seriously, like, pray about it. If it's something you just are really concerned about, or just try to use your discernment, or don't worry about it. If it has no effect on you or whatever, you know, like, focus on doing your homework and don't worry about it.
See, but that's the weird thing. Like, we literally go to social media and the effects of it are not positive.
Yeah.
They're negative. Like, we get depressed or we get anxious or we get this or we get that, but we keep going back to it.
Right.
And it's hard to say, don't pay attention if it doesn't bother, because it's almost like a drug.
It's there. And then you watch some videos on it and you get more videos pop up on it. And yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Now I'm worried. I'm just gonna enjoy life.
Well, and that's what you have to just do. Like, there's things that you can't control these things, and you can't let them control you. So,
well, hopefully it doesn't control me. I don't know.
Right.
Mind control, that might be a thing.
well, you don't know for sure, right? Yeah.
Ooh, what about lizard people? That's another one.
It's just a weird one to me. I don't know about that whole thing. People say, like, yeah, there's some crazy stuff out there.
Man, there's some fun ones though too. There's some that with the Illuminati. I mean, there's some that I'm like, dude, I wish that was true. Like, how cool would it be for somebody to like rip off their face and it's like, you're a lizard. Like, I'd be like, wow.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I don't know about that one. That's a weird one.
You know, I'd love to have like a welcome letter to, you're now part of the Illuminati. Like, that would be awesome. Now I can know everything. You know.
Now Satan owns your soul. So.
Well, I am redhead, so I don't have a soul apparently.
So it's already done.
They say redheads have no soul. Okay. We're just lost, you know, as gingers. Oh, man. Marin, it's always fun with you.
It's a good time.
Before we go, is
Yes.
there any last little tidbits that you want to say to the world? Anything else we need to know? Anything else that you're like?
Pretty much covered some good stuff.
You're like,
the government is lying to you.
on it. I mean, I wouldn't. I think nowadays, more than anything, that statement is factually accurate.
Honestly, I think, COVID really
it's all
made
about
people wake up a little bit.
It's all about power and money. I would love, like, let's put every politician's bank account online so that we can see what's going in, what's going out. Like, why does somebody that is on salary of $200,000 making millions every year? Mm-hmm. Oh, it's book deals. Not that many people are reading your books.
Yeah.
Like, it's this.
Yeah.
It's,
They just are in a lot of people's pockets.
And that's why I'm running for president.
I'll vote for you, man.
Mike. Mike on your ballot. Honestly, like, I have such a, so I have this is funny. I have a friend that I love messing with him because I can get him riled up really quick. And I know the reason why this doesn't work, but I think it would be hilarious to, like, I always tell him, like, I could solve all the world's problems. All we need to do is create a secret committee that prints money. Like, we won't know. Like, I could have the secret committee printing all this money, and we'll just put it out into the system, like $100 bills. And he's like, you can't do that. I'll devalue the dollar. I'm like, no, but like, if I gave you two $100 bills and one of them was already in system and one was one of my secret committee dollar bills, you wouldn't know. And I said, we just pay everybody off with the secret money. Oh, it gets him so riled up. But I've always thought really simple. I'm like, look, I could run for president, and this is what I would do. I'd be like, look, we bailed the banks out. Now the banks can bail the American people out. They just forgive everybody's home loans, and then everybody else can start a new loan with something else, but change the system. Simple, right? Easy.
Yeah, but you're going up against like the Rothschilds and all the central bank people, so.
Dude, they got theirs, we'll take ours now.
Okay.
Anyway, that's my theory. That's why I will never be president, but I think it would be fun. Anyway, that's it. We're done.
All right.
Your hair looks awesome.
Always does, Mike. Always.